You're playing with fire when you play with me. You stir it up incessantly.
Hello and welcome to this interview. Today we have.
Tomas Tekel.
What's your age, Tom?
So I'm 19 today. Well, not today, but I'm 19, innit?
What's your height, Tom?
Oh, well, I want to say I'm 6 foot, but according to some people, yeah, 5'10". Six. We'll say 6 foot for the camera.
What's your ethnicity?
Ethnicity. I'm all well. On a form, I'm white other.
White other. And what's your sexuality?
I'm straight or heterosexual.
And what are your pronouns?
He, him.
Yeah. Where did you grow up, Tom?
So I grew up predominantly in the UK, but that's not where I was born.
Whereabouts were you born, Tom?
So I was born in Banska Bystrica in Slovakia, and I came here when I was 2 with my family, but not all at the same time.
And why is that? Why not all at the same time?
So it was in 2005. My mum came over first to work because my dad still had a job in Slovakia that he couldn't get out of. It was another extra year, and she basically came over to England, set up the grounds for basically where we live today. 2004, 2005. Me and my dad came over then to join her, and we didn't really have much of a house at the start. We were actually living with a lovely Indian family. He would rent out a room to our mum for the first year or so. It was free, and then as soon as we all got over here, we started renting our first house in St Anne's.
So like the episode of Doctor Who where they all lived in the kitchen.
What, like
Dun and Noble's family all lived in the kitchen.
literally? Yeah. You know, Old Wolf was there, and all the mandem. It was jokes though. Like, you know, it was the maddest thing. The first thing I ever got to experience in England was Indian culture. So I came here, and you know, it was so wholesome. We'd sit on the floor, and they'd have the whole extended family there, plus us. They were the most welcoming people ever. You know, it was always their food. So that was like my first introduction to England. You know, like that's all I knew from Britain when I was 2. Yeah, and I still get flashbacks from that. You know, there's core memories that stick with me in my head, and it was a great time. You know, I wouldn't actually give it up. Like, I like that I've been brought up that way.
Tom, do you have any hobbies?
Any hobbies? Well, my main hobby right now, the thing I pursue the most is photography, and it's predominantly film photography. Well, not predominantly, it's only film photography. Like, because I don't enjoy shooting digital really. Like, I find it too easy. You know, you can bring a camera anyway. You can do it with your phone. You can snap, take a million pictures. But with film, you literally have to look, find your shot, take it right, and then you don't even know if it's actually come out until you develop it, which I also do myself actually. Saves me a lot of money.
What's your newest camera?
My newest camera, so it's actually sitting over there right now. It is my dad gave it to me today. It is a Pentax, and which one is it? Pentax ME. I was told that it's actually the one they used in Stranger Things, so it's a bit of a relic, a bit desirable, I'm told. And literally brought it out today for the first time. It works. Banged in some Kodak 200, and hoping it's got some banging shots. But my camera, the one I've been taking with me everywhere, Olympus XA2, little point and shoot, no bigger than the palm of your hand. And honestly, the picture quality is insane. One of the sharpest lenses from the 1980s on a point and shoot. And I've used that for professional work, for hobbies, for everything.
You're really interested in photography. How did you get into it?
Well, weirdly enough, right, so my dad, he is a photographer. It's not his job, it's his hobby. He's done stuff professionally as well, and but mainly he does landscape on the side. And for years, since I was a kid, he'd always be taking pictures of the family, and I'd hate it, and I'd be like, oh, stop taking pictures, I don't want to be in this, don't want to be in that. If you ever see any old pictures of me, I'm always looking mardy. But it was, probably when I turned around 15 or 16, you know, he gave me this big janky film camera, and he was like, take this with you, take some pictures. And I was like, this is actually quite fun, you know, it's all on film, I don't know what I've taken. And then I bought a point and shoot myself because I thought this is lighter to carry, easier, put in a little man bag and just have it anywhere. And literally from then on, I was just shooting left, right and centre, and I carry on until this day.
Do you have any siblings, and what's your relationship with them like?
Oh, so I've got a little brother, little Martin. He's a good kid. Me and him we're polar opposites. You know, he's the good boy. He's kind of more sensible, and I'm the other way. You know, shit doesn't go right for me. I would get in trouble more. But me and him, yeah, we're tight. I love my little brother. You know, if anything happened to him, like that'll be the end of my world. Like I can't let anything happen to him. I look after him with all my life and all my heart, and it's just how it should be.
How's your relationship with your family?
My family, my relationship with my family is good. Right now, they're not too proud of me because of my mishaps with the University of Manchester. But overall, it's good. You know, they support me when they can, but they also teach me real life lessons. You know, they're never there to baby me or overwatch me. They let me be quite independent, and you know, and honestly I respect that. It is the way. I'm glad I've been brought up that way basically because it makes you learn the real hard parts of life. Because not everything you can't just be spoon fed for your whole life, and that's just facts. What have you got lighter?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Interviewer.
Do you go to university?
So, last year I was in university. I was in the Uni of Manchester, studying aerospace engineering, and as a result of my mishaps and mischief, I did in fact end up getting kicked out, but it was wrongfully, and I spent this whole year appealing and just going through a whole of a shit year because the uni literally they don't care about you. You're just a number, and I'm back in uni next year doing the same course, starting fresh, but this time I'm ready to knuckle down and do it properly.
Do you play sports?
I don't play sports. I was always kind of nervous about team sports. A lot of my mates, right now they're trying to introduce me to American football, and they tell me I'd be good at it, but I'm still kind of iffy on it because I've never played a team sport. But personally though, I do love cycling. That's the only sport I partake in constantly. I've done charity cycles, I cycle on my own. It keeps me active, and it's really the only thing I do.
Do you have a girlfriend, Tom?
Currently, I do not. Currently, I do not.
Have you ever been in love?
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Wow. Well, this is a question. There was a time, and it was over the last year or so. Well, not to the present day, where there was a girl, and I felt like I was in love with her, but it was more me convincing myself that I loved her because she was a constant for me in that time, and I didn't get treated right, and it was horrible. And to this day, she'll say, I was the bad one, but I know deep down that I was the victim. I don't even want to sound like a dickhead saying that. It is true. But so I want to say yes, but wrongfully in love. I shouldn't have.
Yeah. More of an unrequited love.
Yeah. It was one-sided. It was unconditional from me, and quite conditional from her.
Yeah. What type of music do you listen to, Tom?
Right, well, I've been through it all. Back in the day, indie phase, all the classics, yeah. But right now, currently, I'm a fan of a bit of UK garage, bit of 140s and breaks, if the audience even knows what that is. But I hope you do get into it. I mix a little bit as well on the side. Like, it's good. It's good. Good beats. Yeah, UKG. Get into that, and speed garage as well, especially. Never overlook that. It's fun.
What do you want to be when you're older?
So, according to my course, following my course, I would like to be an aerospace engineer. I would like to develop planes and work with them. I've never been much into the space side, but yeah, I think just being a budding aerospace engineer, helping to develop, say the new Boeing 747, or even planes that can, break the sound barrier, but with passengers, commercial airliners.
You'd never want to get into military side of engineering.
Well, that's got a lot of stigma around it. That's the thing, because a lot of my professors in uni, not a lot actually, a few of them, I have spoken to them, they did actually end up working for the military, and they had to sign secret acts, and they had to, because they were actually developing laser guided systems, for like wars that really shouldn't be happening and stuff like that. And a lot of them just found it really immoral, and they said that it was actually so degrading knowing what these weapons were used for. So I don't think I'd actually go into the military sector just because of the whole stigma. I wouldn't feel like it's right that the things I'm doing aren't actually being used for the greater good.
What's your experience with drugs, Tom?
Well, to say I've dabbled is an understatement. I've been around the works, but I've never ever, and I can safely say this, I've never ever used drugs as an escape. I've never taken anything to feel something. I take drugs to heighten an experience. So when I'm going out a lot, I do like my pills, and I'm a very big fan of psychedelics, having trips and stuff like that, because then it doesn't feel like you're doing a drug. That's more like an experience. And honestly, drugs are great. Never overuse them. Always just do drugs safely. That's the whole message I can say. Never take too much. Know your limits. Find what you can do comfortably. And I can also say I don't think I've had a bad experience. Not had a bad trip. I like to know my own boundaries with drugs. But yeah, I've done a lot.
What's your experience with weed?
With weed
and addiction?
Oh well. So I started smoking weed with my mates around year 11. And from the start it was all fun and games. You're having a laugh, you're getting high and stuff like that. And then it's actually been recently, maybe in the last 4 or 5 months, where I was just smoking so much weed, and mainly just doing edibles actually, where my tolerance became so high, and I'd get stupidly high, and then just sit in bed and just contemplate everything, contemplate life, overthink. And it just, every time I did it, it'd make me have a horrible experience. I went on a holiday with a load of my friends, it was meant to be fun, we were all doing it, and I was just sat in the corner thinking, I can't do this is horrible. And since then I've actually quit smoking weed. I feel like it's a good thing to do recreationally with your friends, have a laugh, but if there is a point where you yourself aren't enjoying it, just don't force yourself to become part of a community that does do it. Like I've had a lot of friends who've stopped smoking weed as well for similar reasons. Also, as well, physical problems as well. Like it'd give me heart pain. Like I'd feel fucking awful after like smoking like 4 zoots. And so currently, I don't smoke weed, but I'm never gonna say don't try it. Try it, and just find again. If you like it, if it helps you, if it because it does help a lot of people, then stick with it. But
Are you religious, and what are your thoughts on religion and God?
so I was brought up as a Roman Catholic. I've had my confession, I've had my communion, never been confirmed, and I do. So sometimes this is quite controversial as well. Sometimes I do think that there is a higher power. There is something that could, you know, that could have created us and it's overwatching us. But then a lot of times I do think all the bad in the world, all the evil, like if there really was a higher power, and if this higher power is so perfect, why is there so much negativity in the world? And that's so cliche. And people say we have free will, and we're given that free will to be negative if we want to be. But if there actually is one higher power that makes perfection, why is that not being shown?
And what are your opinions on like organized religion? So let's say like the Catholic Church,
Well,
stuff like that,
organized religion,
things of that nature.
Again, I think it's fair as long as it's not extremist. As long as views aren't being pushed on anyone, if you're entitled to your own beliefs, you can think what you want. But as long as you're not going around forcing someone to think what you think because you think it's right, then I think that's valid. And again, it's the extremist side that I just don't follow. I don't agree with. So anything before that, anywhere where it's just like we're organised and we do our own thing, that's fine.
Do you have anything besides a job that you've always wanted to do?
I think besides the job, I've always it's the most basic one in the world, but I have always wanted to travel. And as of recently as well, I have got into a bit of DJing, bit of mixing, and I'd like to do it. Just it's all kind of creativity and spreading a bit of art to the world. Giving someone something to listen to for an hour that they enjoy, something like that. But number one is definitely traveling. Like once I get some money up, I'm going around the world. Maybe even later down in life, buy a van, convert it into a caravan. Just kind of just be around. Like I hate being stuck in one place. I like being on the move. I like moving and being active and seeing as much as I can. Because what's the point of being born somewhere and then being stuck there for your whole life? That's just worthless. So traveling.
Who's closest to you?
Who's closest to me? Wow. This is weird. A lot of the time I feel quite isolated, but I do it to myself. As in, like, I struggle to keep in contact with people. I like to think that I support myself the most, even though I know other people do. But who's close to me? I don't know. There's not really anyone I genuinely reach out to help for. Or I can share a lot with anyone, and I'm close to a lot of people. But I don't know. I can't actually put my finger on that. It's a weird one.
Do you want to be famous?
Do I want to be famous?
Or have you ever wanted to be famous?
Well, that's the thing. So, everyone likes a bit of attention, right? Everyone likes to be well. I'd like to be well known. I don't think fame would do me good. I think it'd drive me crazy. Or it'd boost my ego so much that I just wouldn't be human anymore. I'd be horrible. So definitely not famous, but well known. I'd like, you walk out in the street and people know you, or people see what you create and they congratulate you for it and think it's good, or even criticize you as well. I'm a big fan of criticism. Someone telling me that this is shit, or this is like, this needs work, or this is that, like. But yeah, definitely not famous, but well known, 100%, and in a positive way as well. Not for doing something stupid or dumb or big or like something that's controversial again. Just something that people know me for, and it's good.
Do you think you'll ever get married?
Yes.
Or do you want to be married?
I do want to be married. I do like the idea of kind of finding someone. It's again, more as cliche as like a ride or die. Someone you can share everything with. Someone who, again, I asked about closeness. Someone who you can be that close with, and like any good day or any bad day can just turn in amazing because you've got that one person by your side and you have a family with them and you're grounded and it's at least a nice grounding point. Like I've always been a fan of that.
Is there anything that you've always wanted to change about the world, or a certain issue that you've always been really passionate about?
You know what? In this field, I'm actually quite uneducated, as in like that's selfish in that sense. But I don't actually think about a lot of issues. The predominant issue now, for example, in the UK is again like cost of living crisis, access to basic needs for households. It's like shit like gas bills going up, electricity going up. People having to move out and sell assets that they could afford in the past. And having to get rid of those now just because of the recession and COVID and what the government are doing. If that, like, ideally, if that was solved and everyone could have kind of a bit more equality, or at least easier access to just basic needs, I'd love to see that solved. I wouldn't know how to go about that myself. I wouldn't know how to contribute to that personally, but if I could pick, I'd say right now that is an important.
Yeah, so more of like a economic well-being for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, literally, yeah. Well, like, it would just help out so many people, like, because they don't do anything wrong. People, a lot of people deserve the world. They deserve everything, but they're not getting that just because of basic needs not being available to them.
Do you dream, and what do you dream about?
I've actually never really been a dreamer, and when I do dream, it's either like scenarios or it's things I want to do. So it's like I've had dreams where like I've wanted to go somewhere, like travel wise, and then suddenly I've planned out a whole like week of me getting there, me doing it, me like working, getting money. It's just like I set like a little ambition or something I want to do in my head, and then one day I have a dream about it, and I wake up and I'm like, fuck, like, this could actually be possible. Like my dreams are kind of more my ideas being put into reality, but still in like an imaginative way.
And for the final question, well, maybe the final question, how do you feel at the moment about life, and how do you actually emotionally feel?
Well, again, I've not said this to the camera much, but this has been a absolutely shite year for me. I've actually felt awful. I've been just literally, this has probably been like one of the hardest years of my life, just with the uni not working out, having an awful job, kind of not really knowing who to go to for support. But ever since I've come back from Manchester, and I've only been back here home in Nottingham for a week, I've actually been doing so much better. Like, what it's made me realise was as well, like, I need time for my social battery to recharge, or just I need time to do nothing to then actually have energy to go and do things. Like, yeah, right now life's not amazing, but I'm praying that over the coming months it'll improve. And after everything that's gone on this year, I do hope that I've actually learned from it and actually do put that stuff, to the test, and actually realise that I can make these changes myself and improve my own quality of life. But yeah, right now not amazing, but I think there's a bright horizon.
You said that when you came back to Nottingham, you felt better. What do you think? Do you think that's because obviously your family and more of a connection to home and what you know, rather than obviously you've been in Manchester, you've had to experience new things almost all the time, and
Well, I think it's just because, like, it's weird. I've kind of thought, growing up as a kid, everyone wants to move out. You get fed up with your parents, 16, 17, like, oh, I've had enough of this, I want to fucking leave. And then I went off to uni my first year, and that was great. And then I've had my second year. It's been my first real taste of real life again. Like I said, I wasn't in uni. I've had to financially manage myself, and that's why I was talking about the economic issues and all that stuff. Because fucking hell, even on, like, again, I work at Tesco's. It's, for what it is, it's not a bad paying job. It's good, but it's just the amount of work you have to put in just to be able to afford literally essentials. Like, there'd be days where I'd be skipping meals. Like, I haven't been able to treat myself in so long, like in actually ages. I haven't been able to buy myself like new clothes, or just anything that's like that I don't need. I've not been able to. Everything suddenly, my main priority is my necessities, and yeah, it is difficult.
And that goes back to the economic thing you were talking about earlier, where it's about the stability of living at home, and
Exactly.
how a lot of people aren't allowed. Obviously they can't afford to not live with their parents anymore.
Yeah, and it's mad as well. Like, as kids, or when we're younger, we take a lot for granted. Like, when your parents give you money, or they support you, or they buy you something, and it's like a nice gesture, and you don't think anything of it because you've not been the one there working. And your mum will tell, or my mum will tell me, she'll be like, oh, but this is my money that I'm spending on you. Like, I've worked for this. It makes sense because, again, after having to earn my own wage the first year of my life and live in a house and pay my rent and pay my bills and pay for my car insurance and just anything I need, my own food, cook. It is, like, honestly, I do appreciate now just a lot more, just like what my parents have done for me. It is mental.
The guests get to choose their location of where we film. Why have you chosen this place in particular?
Oh, well, this is actually, so when I started cycling, I did a lot of cycling. One, because I was never happy about my weight, and I'm still not. And I like getting out and about. But the main reason is because literally I hate cities, and that's, again, cliche. I do live in Manchester, a massive fucking city. But I used to cycle out here most days, and there's a bridge just around the corner over there. I used to just sit there and watch the sunset just on my own, put on some tunes and do nothing. And I've always been a fan of like this kind of like desolate spaces where there's nothing around. But that's when you realise that there's actually so much around you when you're in an area where there's nothing. Like, there's life, there's structures, there's things always going on around you, and you can walk through this and no one's going to stop you. And it's just kind of important to me that you can be on your own, but you're not really truly alone. But it's a nice place. I'd come here to think. There's also another bridge over there that I can climb onto, and you can just sit there and just watch life go by, and no one's affecting you. You know, it's literally like a nice area of peace, and just like
So you feel like you need a step back from all the noise and pollution.
Exactly.
Well, noise of the city. I guess.
noise of the city, noise of people. It's just literally like having that own personal time is really, really important, and that's also another reason why I think this year has been hard for me as well, because I did live in a house with like 6 people, and I realised that being around people constantly is like incredibly draining. Like, and it's so hard to tell people that you love, like your mates and stuff, you know, let me take a step back away from you because I can't handle it. I've always found that hard, but I needed that a lot, and that's why that's why I loved cycling, because like I'd always be on the move. I'd be doing that kind of travel part of my life that I like thinking about, but it just gives me time to think, you know, it clears my head, and I can stop and I can go to these places where there's nothing stopping me. No one's going to say no, no one's going to just like annoy me at all, and I can just look at things and think. And even around there, like I'm a big fan of graffiti and artwork, and like especially the artists around Nottingham, and I can just like there's a lot of their work over there. It's like looking at a little art gallery, you know, like everything's just eye candy for me, you know what I mean? I look at it and I'm satisfied.
Do you have any final remarks that you'd like to tell the world, or if people that watch this interview who know you, what would you like them to take away from this?
Well, what I'd like everyone to take away is the fact that like if something goes wrong in your life, big or small, like it's literally not the end of the world. Like you can just keep working, and I'm a kind of person where I like to say like I don't have one end goal in life. I like doing lots of little things, and that's fine as well. You don't always need to know where you're going. You don't always need to know what you want. You walk through life and you just do what comes to you. You know what I mean? Like just basically just keep going. Keep going. That's all I can say. Just don't stop for anything, good or bad. I'm not an everything happens for a reason kind of guy, but at the same time, a lot of shit happens for a reason, and if it happens, think about why it happened.
Alright, I've been Bertie Piper, and this has been
Tomas Tekel, and thank you very much for listening to me today.
alright, see ya. Three, two, one, go.
So, hi. I'm
No,
Tomas.
shut up, I'm doing it.